Could the United States, the U.S.-led war on ISIS, be expanding beyond the borders of Iraq and Syria? U.S. troops have just been granted legal authority to go on the offensive against ISIS in Afghanistan for the very first time. Until now, the military's only way of going after the terrorists there was in the case of a direct threat. But a new classification has freed up the rules of engagement for U.S. forces, that classification giving the terror group a name. That name, ISIS-K, or ISIS Khorasan, essentially an amalgamation of a new wave of ISIS cells in Afghanistan and Pakistan and the existing Khorasan terror group. To break some of this down, we go to our retired Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann, U.S. Army Special Forces. Good to see you again. Let's begin with first, explain this to me, because we've been talking so much, obviously, about ISIS in Syria and Iraq, but how strong is the presence over there, the concern over their presence in Afghanistan?
Well, they're growing. I mean, there's a lot of reporting coming out of Afghanistan right now that they are really trying to establish a presence there. Now, there are members of the Taliban and other groups that don't like that, but they are getting a following. They have a very strong global narrative, Brooke, and it resonates. And there are groups in Afghanistan right now that are switching allegiances to ISIS, and I think we'll see their presence grow in Afghanistan in 2016.
President Obama has called the Khorasan group, quote, seasoned al-Qaeda operatives. You know, for so long, though, we've been talking about almost this one-upsmanship,
right,
or rival groups, right, between an ISIS or al-Qaeda. Now it appears this is a merge.
Yeah, but I think the thing that your viewers would really want to consider here is one of the major differences between al-Qaeda and ISIS is ISIS really do believe that they'll achieve this apocalyptic end-of-days scenario on their watch. So they are very, very committed to strikes and drawing us into, you know, this end-of-days battle. And so when you think about what ISIS is capable of from a level of local violence, these guys are, I think they're even more serious than al-Qaeda in terms of what they're doing. So when I see them setting up safe haven in Afghanistan, it concerns me.
ISIS-K formed in January 15. Does the fact that the U.S. has now pushed for a rule change, being to actively go on the offensive against them in Afghanistan, does that suggest then to you, as you point out, that you are concerned, is there truly this growing threat there? Oh,
sure, yeah, the threat's there, and I'm glad to see that some authorities are expanded to finally let our guys and girls get after them the way that they need to. We're going to have to do some of that, but here's the thing. Even in the surge in Afghanistan, when we were actively walking down Taliban and al-Qaeda,
yeah,
it didn't work as a singular strategy. We're going to have to work out in these rural areas with the tribes and clans from the bottom up. Just walking ISIS down in these places and taking them out is not going to win the war against them. It never has. I mean, how long have you been reporting on different strikes and things like that?
A long time.
You know, it's going to have to be a focused bottom-up strategy over time. I mean, that's what my whole book's about. Game Changers is doing that from the bottom up. And until we do that in these rural areas, they're going to own safe haven.
Colonel Mann, thank you.
Thanks.